There is a stove in Holmes County, Ohio, that has not been fed since this morning, and the room around it is warm. No thermostat, no gas line, no electric bill arriving in January. 2 pieces of wood, burned hot and fast before breakfast, and that stove will hold this room at 65 degrees until tomorrow morning. I put my hand flat against it at 10 o'clock at night, 6 hours after the fire had gone out. Not hot enough to burn, warm like a body. And the man who built it, a quiet man named Eli, said exactly 4 words when I asked him how it worked. 2 logs, every morning. That was the entire explanation. I drove 4 hours to hear it. And yes, this works in any home with a south-facing wall. You do not need to build from scratch. Stay with me. I have been paying heating bills my entire adult life. I changed the furnace twice. I paid for the insulation upgrades both times. I never once asked why the house I was paying to heat faced north. 40 years, at roughly $1,400 a year in heating costs alone. That is $56,000. It was not because I was careless. It was because nobody ever told me otherwise. The reason nobody told me is the part that kept me up at night for weeks after I walked out of a lease farmhouse. The average American household spends between $2,500 and $3,500 every year on total energy, electricity, plus heating fuels. Over 30 years, that is between $75,000 and $105,000. Money that flows in one direction. Stay with me, because once you understand how 4 layers of physics work together inside an Amish farmhouse, the bill sitting on your kitchen counter is going to look very different. Here is where the story has to go back, not to a shadowy committee, to one man with a blueprint and a production schedule. His name was William Leavitt. The year is 1947. He is standing over floor plans in a converted Quonset hut on Long Island, looking at how to build 17,000 homes faster than anyone has ever built them. His problem is not comfort. His problem is speed. Leavitt orients every home to face the street, whatever direction the street happens to run. Not because passive solar design does not work, because rotating homes to face south would slow his production line. He saves 20 minutes of planning per house. You spend the next 30 years paying for it. Then, in 1954, the Federal Housing Administration issued its minimum property standards, the underwriting template every developer needed to follow to access federal financing. Those standards specified minimum window area. They said nothing about orientation, nothing about thermal mass, nothing about passive geometry. Builders who followed FFHA standards got their loans. Builders who deviated could not get financing at scale. The standard did not ban passive solar. It made passive solar economically impossible for anyone building more than one house at a time. The natural system was not forbidden. It was made irrelevant by the machinery of money. The Amish were not affected by any of that. Not because they were ahead of their time, because they were never part of that system to begin with. In Holmes County, Ohio, the largest Amish settlement in the world, these building principles have been applied continuously since the early 1800s. Across 7 generations, on land those families still farm today, the homes face south. Not because a code requires it, because the sun is free and the physics of it has never changed. Now let me show you what that actually means, layer by layer. The first layer costs nothing, and most people have never been offered it. Penn State Extension has studied traditional building orientation for decades. These are not my numbers. Their research confirms what the Amish figured out by watching the sun move across their land. A properly oriented home, with its longest wall facing within 10 degrees of true south, can reduce its total heating load by 30 to 40% before you add a single other element to the system. 30 to 40%. From which direction the house faces, nothing else. No new materials, no contractor, no permit. A south-facing wall in the northern hemisphere receives direct sunlight from the low winter sun all day long. In summer, when the sun sits high overhead, that same wall stays mostly in shade. The house heats itself in winter and stays cool in summer through nothing but geometry. Meanwhile, a north-facing window never contributes meaningful solar heat in the northern hemisphere. It only loses it. Every window on the cold side of your house is a hole in your heating bill. The second layer is the window system. South-facing windows in these homes are large and set into sills that run 12 to 16 inches deep. That depth is not decorative. It creates a thermal buffer zone that holds the warmth the glass just collected. A standard modern windowsill is maybe 3 inches wide. An Amish windowsill is a bench. Children sit on it. Those same proportions work in reverse in summer. Place low intake openings on the shaded north side of the house and high exhaust openings near the top of the south wall. Cool air is heavy and flows in at the base. Warm air rises and escapes at the top. The house breathes. No fan, no compressor, no electricity. An Amish family I spent time with in Lancaster County had a farmhouse that used this exact system. The husband told me the upstairs bedrooms in July ran 8 to 12 degrees cooler than the outside temperature, with no mechanical help of any kind. I checked the thermometer myself. He was not exaggerating. The third layer is thermal mass. Here is the counterintuitive part. Heat can be stored physically inside dense material the way water is stored in a tank. Adobe, stone, brick, rammed earth. These materials absorb heat slowly during the day and release it slowly at night. The walls themselves are a heat battery. A standard modern wall built with 2x4 framing and fiberglass insulation has almost zero thermal mass. It slows heat transfer, but stores nothing. The moment exterior temperatures drop at night, it stops working. A stone wall 18 inches thick absorbs heat all afternoon and radiates it back into the room all night long. This technique cannot be patented. Stone is stone. The earth made it. You cannot license it, you cannot put it in a branded box, and you cannot generate a service contract around it. That is precisely why it disappeared from standard American construction guides in 1950, when speed and financing and production volume became the only metrics that mattered. And that brings us back to Ellis stove. The masonry heater, called a Kachelofen in the German-speaking tradition most Amish communities descend from, operates on a principle that is almost the exact opposite of a modern wood stove. A standard wood stove burns slowly and continuously. It requires constant feeding. It produces creosote, and it generates heat that rises and escapes before the room can absorb it. A masonry heater burns hot and fast, and it burns completely. 2 or 3 large pieces of wood, one fire that runs intensely for 1 to 2 hours, and then it goes out. Done. The firebox and the surrounding mass of stone and brick and clay, which can weigh 3,000 to 5,000 pounds, absorb an enormous quantity of heat. That mass radiates slowly and evenly into the living space for the next 18 to 24 hours. Here is the honesty you will not hear from anyone selling you a modern stove. Research published through forestry and building science programs puts their thermal efficiency at 80 to 90%. The best modern certified wood stoves clock in at 60 to 70%. That gap translates directly into how much wood you burn and how much heat reaches the room. The Amish family burns 3 to 4 cords of wood per winter, cut from their own land. The fuel cost is the labor of cutting it. Now, the piece I want to leave you with is the one I found buried in a 1903 USDA agricultural survey of Amish and Mennonite settlements in eastern Ohio. It has never appeared in any modern home building guide I have ever read. In the older Holmes County settlements, the earthen or stone floor of the main living area was built over a network of clay channels, roughly 4 to 6 inches in diameter, buried 6 to 8 inches below the surface. These channels ran from a south-facing inlet at the base of the exterior wall, through the earth beneath the floor, and emerged inside the living space. During sunny winter days, cold outside air entered the inlet, traveled through those underground channels, and warmed as it passed through soil that sits at approximately 55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round at that depth. The survey estimated it added 8 to 12 degrees to incoming winter air before it ever touched the room. The survey called it a ground tempering channel. The Amish family calls it the floor breath. No moving parts, no pump, no electricity. In 1954, a financing standard decided that none of this counted as a proper home system. In the 1970s, utility industry lobbying ensured that mechanical systems remained the baseline requirement in residential construction codes. In 2024, the average American heating bill sits at $1,400 a year, and most people have never heard the words ground tempering channel. The geometry of sunlight has not changed. The temperature of the earth beneath your house has not changed. It sits at 55 degrees Fahrenheit. It has always sat at 55 degrees. And it will sit at 55 degrees long after every gas furnace ever manufactured has been scrapped for parts. The Amish did not invent any of this. They simply never stopped using it. You were just never given it. Now you have it. Tell me in the comments what direction your house faces. North, south, east, west. Just the direction. That one number tells me exactly what your heating bill is costing you, that it does not have to. If you are the kind of person who believes real practical knowledge gets quietly sidelined to protect someone else's revenue, you already know what to do. Subscribe,